relationships, drama, philosophy, relationships, drama, philosophy.
Hello and welcome to episode 73 of Yawa Habibi.
Welcome, that rhymed.
It did.
Well done.
It was wonderful. Well done. I couldn't have made it not rhyme, even if I tried. But welcome. Before we do get started, please remember to subscribe, like, share, or rate us. And also follow us on TikTok.
Please do. It goes a very long way for us. We're a very small podcast, and just one 5-star review on a Spotify, which takes 30 seconds, could mean the difference of us blowing this podcast up or blowing it up.
It's blowing it up or blowing it up?
Blowing it sky high.
Yeah.
To the reaches of everyone.
Oh.
Or us blowing up on each other. Or we go,
Naughty.
fuck this. We're not doing this anymore.
There you go. Maybe that's it. So basically keeping this podcast together by doing that.
Keeping us together.
Maybe. But we do notice every new follow and we do notice every new like. So please do those things.
We do.
Yes. Well, today we're going to talk about a topic that's very close to my heart, which is why women are always right.
And I'm just going to be a passenger on this conversation. Let's define. I am a male.
I am a female.
And that's how we identify.
That is how we identify. And I identify as being always right.
There we go, that as well, which is what we're going to get to.
We are. So it is actually scientifically backed that...
Whoa. You can't say women are always right and they go scientifically backed. Let's break those away. I think what you meant to say is you're about to provide some scientific facts that could lean towards women being more right. You can't say it's scientifically backed that women are always right. That's not how this works.
I don't think what you said and what I said are at all different. So
No.
I said it's scientifically backed that women are always right, and you said what you're going to say is there is some evidence that is science proves that it is always women.
No. Because you're saying that science backs that you're always right, but
Yes.
that's not true. There are facts that show why women think through things in a more thorough way, and therefore can mean that they're sometimes right. It doesn't mean that they're always right because of science backing. I want to make that clear. Because
Okay.
you falsely advertised that.
Okay, I'll rephrase. On average, women are more likely to be right because of reasons backed by science.
Let's learn.
Okay, now let's learn. So, firstly, women unpack more. The thing is, so this is something that I actually learned personally in therapy, was that, and this is obviously a stereotype, right? Gender is a spectrum, and when we're talking about men and women, like I'm talking about cis, like heteronormative, like middle of the road, men are from Mars, women are from Venus kind of mentality. So obviously this isn't going to apply to every man, every woman, or anyone in between. So what my therapist was saying to me in conversations about me and my beloved, who identify as a male and female, was that men see things typically as black and white. It's this or it's that. It's quite straightforward. Here's a problem. This is a solution. Whereas...
And I concur to that. For me, that is how I am.
Yeah.
And have always been well, since I've become, aware of how I think. I am very black and white is a great way to see it. And life isn't black and white, but very solution based. If you provide a problem, I will give you a solution. And it's quite black and white. This is the ways you can go. And that is backed up by science. That is how the average man thinks. It's quite solution based, and it's very, we'll get into that. I'll let you, Karen, talk. There's more I can add, but there we go.
Yeah. Well, so that's, typically for men. But for women, women are typically more emotion driven. So whereas men are logic driven of it's this or it's that, this is the problem, that's the solution, women tend to act more from emotion, but also to unpack context around a thing. you know, if for example, this could be a really typical conversation between a husband and wife. Wife comes home from work. Oh, Sheila was so rude to me today. Husband might say, well, tell her that she's been rude to you. The problem is she's been rude to you. So tell her that's your solution.
Yeah.
Whereas, I can't say that because, you know, the last time somebody said that, you know, she was really passive aggressive and that XYZ happened. So, like, women tend to look into the reason behind things more and, like, why something could have happened a certain way. You know, the domino effect of events, you know, well, if I say that, then this will happen, that will happen, that will happen, that will happen. And what my therapist actually said to me is that women unpack things 12 ways. So where you've got your problem and you unpack it. So for men, typically might have, you've got A and you've got B. Women will then unpack A and B to AB and BA, BB. I think.
I get it.
And it just kind of like multiplies and multiplies out, well, he said 12 ways. So I find that quite interesting. So, and because of that, women tend to have a more rounded view of a situation. So it's not just, you know, this narrow focus keyhole view of what this scenario is. It's like a wider worldview, a wider, bigger picture view, and therefore have more context to go on in a situation about where one might say, who's right in this scenario? Well, the woman has more context, so likely her.
So this is where people are going to get a bit prickly, because this is where it's going to get a bit triggering for either side, where they go, no, that's not how I think, or no, I'm right most of the time, or whatever. And I just want to, something we didn't mention at the start, we're not scientists, we're not experts, it's just what we've learned through our existence and things that we've read and seen. So this is just a layman's term. This is just a couple talking about their experience through therapy. Whoop, whoop. Everyone should get therapy. It's brilliant. So I just want to make that clear. This is what we've seen. But I can concur that I am a lot more one track, and it doesn't take as much time to find a solution, I feel, through the way that I do it. But that doesn't mean that the solution's always right. People's solutions are never always, might never always be right. But it's hard for me to argue that you're not going to unpack it more ways than I am. The time where I'll unpack it at a deeper level and see it from 12, 15, 20 different angles is when it's a big decision in life. If it's a big decision in life, moving jobs or buying a house, then I'm going to sit on that for a while. And, still there might be a big group of men who just go, no, I want a new house. I've got the money. Let's do it. And I get that logic. But I'm someone who does think for a lot longer on it. And yeah, that can be a bit of hesitation, nervousness. I accept that. But I will take a lot of time and I will really review it. For example, my last, one that I thought really deeply about was, leaving my last job, because, it had everything I dreamt of in my responsibilities, the money I was making, what I was doing, traveling the world, everything. But it just got to a point where it wasn't fulfilling me. And it took me a while to get there, but I finally made the decision. So it's not that we're void of it, but day-to-day things like trying to decide what bread do we need, or should I push this meeting back, or should I not? That is, or dealing with a conflict at work. Things that are just day-to-day, I would agree that I'm a lot more one-track, just like, okay, there's an issue. He said something that rubbed me the wrong way. Tomorrow I'm just going to go up to him and tell him. So that is my answer to that. There is a side piece to this that should be mentioned, but we won't get into in a deep manner into this episode, because there's just too much to unpack there. And that's when you bring in a neurodivergent brain, someone who has got neurodivergent conditions, which contains a range of conditions, ones that you may have heard, ADHD, bipolar, autism, Tourette's, other ones, OCD, there's others. When you incorporate those conditions, they also, of course, they change the way you think. Whether you're male, female, it can influence what we're saying. And we are both neurodivergent, so that also does influence how we approach things. But I think maybe it's, for the conversation, it's probably easier we don't dive into that as much.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably a lot of nuanced complexities around that as well. Like, like you say, you could look at it from a neurotypical versus a neurodivergent.
Yeah, I
As
think
well.
that'd be a good new another episode that could add more flavour to this.
Yeah, for sure. But in short, women are usually right.
So how about we get into some scientific facts, and we've made sure that we've looked this up. So we've got lots of references here. We can put them in the descriptions. For example, like a Dr. Daniel Amen from, where on earth is she from? She did over 46,000 brain scans, so there's a lot of backed up reference here. Dr. Regini from Pennsylvania University, who did a lot of studies around sex differences and structural connection. What does that say?
Connectum. Can I just say, sorry, just looking at this, because I think that first one, I mean, I don't want to gender them, but I would guess Dr. Daniel is a man.
Oh.
Regini, we know to be a male name because of the famous Indian
The
actor
famous
Regini.
Indian actor Regini.
Dr. Simon, also a man. Dr. Larry, also a man. Luan
Could be man or female.
could be either way. So, I don't know. I find that quite interesting that it's only male.
Well,
Male studies that you found there, Scott.
Well, I'll be honest, I got it through ChatGPT. So this is not a reflection of me. I want to make that clear. This is a reflection of the AI bot that's controlling all our lives these days.
And the erasure of women in science.
Okay. And I mean, again, there's so many side conversations you can have in this, like there's a lot of testing for like medication in the pharmaceutical industry that is actually only done on male. So a lot of the percentages, a lot of the stats, this isn't true for everything, but you'd be surprised. There's a lot of stats that you see out there, but the pool of people they've built their stats on are actually not very mixed gender. They're actually mostly white male. So for me, whoop whoop, that's great. That's great for me, but in the grand scheme of things, it's actually terrible.
Just on that note, do you know that toothpaste is not suitable for the pH of women's mouths?
There we go. No, that's a joke.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, like, the toothpaste that we all buy, when women use it, it's actually not beneficial to their teeth.
What, just standard toothpaste?
All the toothpaste that we buy is suitable for the male pH.
So that's a classic example.
That is a classic example. The pink tax, that my razors are more expensive, except
Yeah.
they're not because I just buy men's razors.
So yeah, and we should look into that. We should look into getting the best toothpaste.
Well, we've got Pikachu and Squirtle toothpaste at the minute. So.
We do, and I'm overjoyed with that. We've gotten into recently buying children's toothpaste,
Probably not good for our teeth.
but it tastes so good.
It tastes great. There is more reason to it other than it tastes. It's just cheaper.
It is cheaper, yeah,
It's cheaper, and we're poor travellers.
and it's smaller, so you can fly with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's unpack some facts. Why don't you take us through the women facts here?
Okay. Oh, is that because I'm a woman, Scott?
Oh Jesus!
Kidding. So overall, women have more brain activity. So, like the resting woman's brain, it's if you were to put them in a brain scan, a woman's brain is more active than a man's overall, especially in areas for judgment and emotion. So that's the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. There's better cross-hemisphere connections, enabling holistic and contextual thinking. So what it means by that cross-hemisphere connections is you've got like the left brain, right brain. Like women are better at making the connections across those two areas of the brain. Women have higher empathy and emotional memory, so they see multiple layers in a situation. I think it's kind of a stereotype that women hold on to past arguments. Yeah. But that's there's the book, I think it's called The Body Knows the Score, the body holds the score, keeps the score.
I know. Yeah.
And that is because you can just be like, oh yeah, we've made up, we've forgot about it, which I think a typically male brain would think, okay, we've had the discussion, now it's done. But women struggle to not then hold on to that emotionally. Like there's, generally you might forget what was said, but you won't forget how you felt, and women I think feel things in a physical way.
I can relate to this one. For the most part, again, there are some things in life that cut really deep and they're hard to drop. So it's not for everything. But for day-to-day arguments or weekly whatever, we don't have day-to-day arguments. But like just stuff about life, just general stuff about the day, or you cut them off and whatever. Once the argument's happened, or the irritation, the passive aggressiveness, whatever's happened, for me, I want to deal with it there and then. I want to have a conversation, say, hey, I shouldn't have said that, whatever it is, have it. And then once that's had, for me, it's done. It's out of sight, out of life. And my body is past it. My mind's past it. I'm not thinking about it. But I know from our relationship, I've learned that that's not how you work. And for you need days, sometimes weeks, to mull on it. And I can tell something's off, and I can see it in your eyes. And it's, that is the way you do it. But for me, it's tough, because the way I just want to get it over and done with, deal with it, and then I can get on with my life. That sounded quite harsh, but that's just, I've known that to be quite a male way of thinking. Yeah, I guess it's that sort of efficiency of just moving forward. But for us, just get on positively. But I've learned that, I've got to wait a couple of days, weeks, whatever, and then we will have the conversation. And I accept that in moments when we're resolving an argument, that you will present things you'll present it in ways that I didn't think about it, which will tangle up my thoughts and then make me have to think. Because again, going back to that sort of solutioning it straight away, and it's not say I feel like so far I'm not sort of fighting for the men here. We're not trying to fight for either. We're just trying to share our experiences. I think there is a lot of value in both ways of approaching thinking. Men, there's going to be much more value in men thinking in certain situations, and much more value in women. But just the examples we're going through right now, it does. I don't want to say favor or better or whatever. I don't think we should get into that. But I think I'm just sharing my experience, because I have gone, that's just all the deal. I've not really maybe thought of it on that extra layer. I didn't quite think it from that way.
Well, I think you've made a really important point there. Like, I know we're saying we've started by saying women are always right, and that's kind of like a haha, like downplaying it or like being light about it. But I think the crux of what we're trying to get across in this episode is that, again, from a very heteronormative point of view, men and women think differently.
We do.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to explore, and I think it allows for a bit more like compassion and patience when we acknowledge that as well. Like, if I think probably from my point of view, the male approach or typical male approach is harsh. It's harsh and uncaring would be like a critical way of looking at it. But knowing that that's just like, it's the thought process of problem solution, that kind of structure and strategy, then, I can have more patience for an understanding of it. And hopefully, I know you're incredibly understanding and emotionally available, emotionally aware. And, I think you acknowledge and understand that it's not that straightforward for me.
No, and I can understand why it can. I think when you both have different ways of thinking and your brains are wired slightly differently, it's hard to understand the other person, because you can't walk in the other person's shoes, and it can seem a bit alien, and that can be, that can show to you as harsh or not very caring or whatever. So likewise on my side, when I'm waiting, when I know we've got to resolve something, it hurts to have to wait days or weeks to have that conversation. But I respect that is the way that, again, I can't say majority of women, otherwise I'm going to get fired on. So maybe you have to say it.
Majority of women, what?
There we go. That's the way I know you think, and I know that the women out there think as well. And I know you're all going to hate me now, so yeah, it can be tough both ways. It's just about, understanding each other and recognizing that, which I guess what relationships are about.
And then I guess the final thing is just purely from a hormonal point of view, estrogen boosts intuition and communication between brain regions, so that, women obviously have the most estrogen. Do men have any estrogen? I feel like they do. I feel like we all have all the hormones, but I think
We have testosterone.
yeah, but women also have testosterone.
But we
And
haven't-
actually, fun fact, testosterone is at the highest when women are at that time of the month. So when men are like, "You've been a bitch," it's like, "No, we've just been a man." That's the issue. We've got more testosterone now, so we're
Oh, that's strange
it's
to think.
interesting.
I've
We're
not.
just being testy,
I
testosterone.
haven't heard of that. So moving on to some facts, scientific facts on men. Men have stronger within the hemisphere wiring. So that's supporting focus and that more single track reasoning. So yeah, of course, from a focus point of view, I know you would say this as well. I'm good at focusing,
Yeah,
which is hilarious because I can also be terrible at focusing, but something I am 1,000% in.
you're shut off to the outside world.
Yeah, which has also caused us challenges, which goes into more the neurodivergent side of me. But I'm shut off to the world. If I'm doing this thing, if anyone does anything to take me off that thing, it annoys me. And I've had to learn, it's been really hard, but I've had to learn to like chill out. And there's more of the sort of neurodivergent piece of me that's influencing that. But yeah, that's just something to mention. Moving forward, a systemizing mindset. So very logical cause and effects thinking. I totally resonate with that. I'm all about logic. But of course, the thing with logic is my logic and your logic could be different. So it doesn't always mean it's right. But I'm very logical. I'm very like, so that equals that, therefore that equals that, therefore this means this. That is how I think. And it can be really effective at times. And then other times it isn't effective. So again, we're stronger in different areas. This one for me, I would say I'm not, but it says a lower emotional interference, allowing to detach from decision making. That's an interesting one for me. I don't know, because I am quite an emotional person. So I don't know. That's a tricky one for me to say that. Whilst I do agree, I found that women have a much deeper emotional intelligence, especially at a younger age. You see it. But again, I think maybe the smaller things I can be a bit more emotionless. I can't think of an example, but if it was just a day-to-day thing where a dispute happened with someone, like I can just probably get on with it or just ignore them pretty quickly.
Yeah, I could not.
You could not. So that might sound a bit harsh, a bit emotionless, but anything further than that, I'm quite a deep thinker with emotion. And I really hold on to, I've got some anxiety around it. So if there's something where I feel like I've done something wrong or there's a bigger decision that I have to make, it doesn't even have to be that big. It could just be ordering food in a restaurant. So yeah, that's a tricky one for me because I do feel like I'm quite emotional. So yeah. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally agree. I think,
Yeah.
I think that you're quite well balanced.
Obviously, testosterone. Testosterone promotes confidence and decisiveness, which I have neither. I just learned, and maybe I need some testosterone jabs.
Sorry, I totally disagree with what you said there. You don't think that you're confident,
No.
yet you'll get up in front of a room full of people and present.
Yeah, but the confidence is in different ways, right? I would say because I've trained myself to do it, I've gotten confident with speaking it on stage because I've done it so much. Like, I could do it. Yeah, it's easy to me. But I guess I'm confident, but from a social point of view, I'm not confident. I'm socially anxious. Like, new environment. I am good at making conversation with people, friends of friends. Mm. But if it's just randoms, I really struggle with that. Like if it was in a restaurant, there was a table next to us trying to engage with us. Or if we're on a tall group and there was people I crumble in those situations.
That's so bizarre that you view it that way because that's not externally what happens. Like you are so like, there are situations like when we were in the rollerblading place in Shanghai and we were talking to the owner and like she turned around to do something and you were like, we should probably leave because it's late. Well, then you just like continue the conversation. You are such a conversationalist that you don't know how to leave a conversation.
No, I don't know. I don't know how to leave a
they'll
conversation.
say something, like when somebody says something, I think I'm quite good at being like, oh, that's interesting. Well, it was nice to see you. Goodbye. Whereas you're like, that's interesting. Tell me more and in detail. Like you are, you know, you are such a good conversationalist that you listen so well, and you pick apart, you know, what's just been saying. You're like, oh, tell me more about that. Tell me, you know, asking questions. And the other one, decisiveness. You're very good at making decisions.
Bloody, don't lie.
Baby.
Don't lie. Don't lie. I agree I'm a good conversationalist, but I get a confidence is a bit, yeah, I would say confident in certain rooms to exist. But again, even with my friends, like, I'm not someone who wants a center of attention, but maybe that's not confidence. So confidence is, I can definitely be confident in areas, but inside, I don't feel confident, but maybe outwardly I present it. Decisiveness, I would say that's one of the biggest things that I struggle with, is decisiveness. Yeah, it's, you know, for example, the bread aisle today. I reviewed the bread for about 7 minutes. 7 minutes, bread.
Yeah. Okay. Low stakes decisions, I think you maybe struggle with. But like
At low stakes, yeah. Oh my God. Low stakes, I can get lost in a decision to make about something that's not that important,
Yeah.
which I think is wasted time. But so I think I've just learned I need more testosterone, which is common when you get older. People get jabbed with testosterone, don't they?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear about people do lack testosterone and they get jobs just to bring the testosterone level up. Not from a steroid point of view, like from a health point of view. I'm going to look into that. I might go for a testosterone test.
Interesting.
But finally is evolutionary roles. Interesting. Shaped men for focused action and women for contextual awareness. Obviously, that's can be debated more these days, but that's obviously we have to always acknowledge where we've come from and that we do still have probably more of a primitive mind than we realize.
Well, don't you find that quite interesting though? Like, if you look at that, it's, again, reading into context of it, a typical woman. If women were better at contextual awareness and women were like doing the action, could that maybe tell us something psychologically about the power in the society? You know, were women in charge? Were women the thinkers and men the doers? You know, were women like, right, we've observed, we understand, over there's the best place that you need to go and hunt.
Yeah.
Off you pop. We'll be here doing the important things like raising the children. You know, like, is that, I don't know. It could say something about how society was.
Yeah, I think that's a nice look on it because I think the stereotypical is woman at home, man goes out,
Yeah.
gets the food, keeps them safe, security, etc. But obviously we know that not to be true and it hasn't been true for a long time, you know. Yeah, I think there is a big, what's the word? Not disparity. There's a word for it, but basically I don't think, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think women are getting as many opportunities as they should be. And I think if they were given a more of an equal chance in opportunities, I think the world would be a better place.
I agree.
What is the word, Susie?
As in that there's women are oppressed, or like women don't have this, what do you mean for not having the same opportunities?
I don't know. There's a word there. That's another thing I struggle with, is the right word to contextualize what I mean. But there we go. At the end of the day, I think we complement each other, and that's what we need.
Absolutely. I guess it's time for the segment.
Yes. Scott's WTF of the week. Every week the world gets a little weirder. Let's talk about the strangest thing went down this week. A French woman from the Hérault region has been fined basically £1,500
Oh.
because her cat Remy, and this is important before I get to this because everyone's going to relate to this because everyone on their neighborhood, you know, on the street has a cat that does this. Everyone has a cat. So because her cat Remy repeatedly wanders onto her neighborhood's property, and the neighbor claimed that Ginger Cat, it's strange that why is this news article, isn't it? A French woman, why did we need to know that she was French? And 2, it's a ginger cat. It's kind of a strange way for an article to, okay, a cat left paw prints and urined on a duvet and feces in the garden.
Yeah.
And basically went to court. And Remy's 70-year-old owner, Dominica. So Dominique, can you say that name?
Dominica.
That one. Shelby is Susie Dent as well as Shelby. Shelby is a real.
Oh, it's Dominique.
There we go.
Dominique. I didn't
Susie,
read it.
first time got it wrong. So the Dominican Republic. That was the person, the neighbour, who took her to court. And basically she won, so she got a £1,500 fine. And now since Remy has had to keep her cat in.
Oh.
Apparently it's got really fat. And now, even though she's kept her in, she's up against another court case. Again.
For imprisonment of cats.
Yeah, again, which is from the same person, Dominican Republic. And she's summoned her back to court in December, accused on another fence crossing. Fence crossing, this is rough. Incident that could cost €2,000. So it's pretty wild. So I don't know, like £1,800 or something. Yeah. So yeah, animals' rights groups have railed behind it, arguing that punishing the cat for following its instincts is absurd, which I agree. But the reason why I say at the start, people can relate to this. Everyone has that, number one, most cats do go out and they do wander about. But I know a lot of, my sister does this. She doesn't just have a cat that comes around the neighborhood. She has a cat that she's basically rehoused because the house of the cat, who is just opposite them, they just don't let her in ever. So she goes to my sister's house and she looks after her. She's even stayed a night before.
Well,
this cat. She feeds her everything. And she's never had a complaint about the neighbor. But I just know so many people end up like rehoming a cat, like even just partially for a week because their owners leave them. I don't think that is this. I think she is looked after, but I just think it is a warning, isn't it? People might start getting fined for blooming saying, "Where's my cat?" Yeah. This person's stolen it.
Yeah.
If they're going to start fining people for a cat walking on their own and peeing on it, you can't control that. She could get some cat deterrences, preferably some friendly ones, like, make them friendly, not something that's going to spray something horrible at the cat. That's on her to take control of that. But I think it is absurd, personally. I think it's absolutely absurd.
Yeah, totally. It's just not something that can be controlled. Like, you can't... So who's she going to sue for the hedgehogs pooing in the garden?
Exactly, right?
Or the foxes, or, you can't... It's an animal, that should be allowed to... Cats do roam. They do. Even in France, they roam. So I don't think she should be fined. I think that's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's ridiculous. So there we go.
Yeah.
It's a strange one.
Well, I guess it's time for Shelby's Good Vibes Only. Let's take a break from the chaos. Here's something to make you smile this week.
Shelby's Good Vibes Only.
An 80-year-old grandma who learned to swim at age 59 became the oldest woman Ironman finisher.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so 80 years old. I mean, an Ironman is like...
It's mega. It's what people aspire to do as a life achievement.
Yeah, and isn't the marathon like the last bit of it?
Correct, yeah.
So there's an Ironman, for anyone who doesn't know, is a 2.4 mile swim followed by a 112 mile cycle followed by a 26.2 mile run, so a marathon right at the end of all of that. And at 80 years old, Natalie Grabau is the oldest person to have done this ever, and it was in Hawaii. But what I think's extra special about this is that she didn't even learn to swim until she was nearly 60. So to then do most people couldn't swim 2.5 miles. Like your average Joe would not be able to swim 2.5 miles.
No.
Not without great training for it anyway. So the fact that she, went 60 years of her life not knowing how to swim, learned how to swim, and then did an Ironman is just amazing. She grew up, Natalie, the woman who did this, she grew up with limited sporting opportunities, particularly for women, but she really found a passion for running and triathlons, and that's what inspired her to learn how to swim. She's already signed up for 2 more Ironman races next year.
Oh my goodness. 2 in 1 year.
Crazy, right?
That's insane. That is honestly insane. You know, I've ran ultras with people going up to maybe their 60s, which blows my mind. I think the oldest guy, he was like 62 or something, and he was pretty quick as well. But that is not, at 80 years old,
Yeah.
that is mind-boggling.
And I find that so inspiring. You know, when you hear about people like this, like the fact that she didn't learn to swim until she was 60. You know, I can sometimes get in the mindset of, oh, well, I'm 33 now. If I've not done X, Y, Z by now, then I'm not going to do it. And that's such a restrictive mindset. And like, I mean, Helen Mirren, I think, was 50 or something before she had her first role. Like, you know, and Alan Rickman, he was really old when he started acting. I say really old. I don't know, you know, I think he was like 40. So not old, but
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Old to start in the industry compared to most. So yeah, I find people like this incredibly inspirational, motivational. Like, if at 80 years old she's doing an Ironman, maybe one day I could do an Ironman.
You 1,000% you could, baby. There's no question. There's no question. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. But that is exceptional. At 80 years old, most people at 80 can barely get out of a chair. I hope I'm not there. I hope I'm right next to this woman and doing it as well.
She'll be 100 and something.
I know, right? But I hope I match what this woman's achieving. I really hope I can. I hope I don't have any
I'm sure you will.
bad back problems that keep me out or anything. But yeah, it's incredible. It's really quite incredible. So we're going to finish off with our travel segment and which is our first impressions of South Korea. So if you didn't watch the last episode or listen, then definitely do, because we told you we just finished visiting China and we told you about everything. We did our 4 vegan voyages review where we tell you how vegan friendly the place is. We told you our favorite and least favorite thing about China. Would we recommend it? Overall rating, what you should know, everything. So definitely go listen to that. But our first impressions of South Korea, Shelby.
So we're staying in a place called Incheon, which is like a suburb of Seoul, and I don't know if I'm reluctant to say this or not, because I don't want to like categorize it unfairly, but my first impression of where we are is that it's really, really similar to Tokyo, which is very positive. I adore Japan. It's probably my favorite place that we've been. So yeah, that's my first impression, that where we currently are, Incheon in particular, is really similar to Tokyo. And the ways that I mean by that is that it's really vibrant, like the floors are painted. There's like, you almost feel like you're inside when you're outside. It feels really like, I don't know, cool. Like it's really close. All the streets are quite narrow, but it's not like old fashioned. Everything's very modern. Everything's really lit up, very like cyberpunky. Yeah, just cool vibes, cool, vibrant, lots of fun things to do, just exciting, and just visually quite similar to Tokyo.
Yeah, I would concur that it is a very exciting place. It just seems like it's a cool vibe, isn't it? Every restaurant, every bar just looks fun. Like, oh, I just want to go sit in there for 5 minutes. Like, it just looks like they've just nailed the vibe and the marketing of everywhere. Just everything looks cool.
Yeah.
My first impressions would be how helpful the locals are. People like go above and beyond to help you, which is not true of every country. England being one of them. People really go above and beyond. Like if we've not been sure, which is similar to Japan, right?
Yeah,
This is similar to Japan. They go above and beyond and help
Yeah.
you like over the top. Yeah, just in the restaurant when I was ordering Italian food the other day, making sure it was vegan, he was super helpful and just took his time to understand it. Yeah, we've just had a lot of situations like at the restaurant, our first restaurant, trying to find some vegan food. They were just really patient with us and really took the time to look through the menu, and just generally around other shops and around where we are. It's just people are willing to give you time and help you out.
Yeah.
They're not like just whatever that way, or no, I didn't speak English. Like they take their time and they try figure it out. So I've really appreciated that, and it's made me feel welcome.
For sure. I think it's definitely giving positive vibes so far.
Very. And we're off to a K-pop concert this weekend. So
We are. Oh my god, I cannot wait. It's
So
not just a
excited.
concert, a festival.
a festival. So we'll let you know about that on the next one.
Yes, very excited.
Before we do wrap up, just please do let us know about your thoughts on the, are women always right? Or what are your thoughts on what we've said? I'm sure there's going to be things that people disagree with, even with the science facts. Not everyone leans into that. Some people go, oh, I think this is, what is it? Not greenwashing, but that for gender washing. Gender washing. So yeah, controversial or not, just give us your opinion. It's always good to hear different sides. And again, we're not trying to argue either way. It was just a funny title we did. It was more just trying to understand how a woman thinks and a male thinks. So then we can, become better at having stronger, happier relationships.
Absolutely. And also, just before you go, please do subscribe, like, share, and rate us. And join us on TikTok.
Please do.
Please do. Another adventure wrapped up.
But the journey never ends.
Keep your bags packed for the next one. And remember, when in doubt, just say,
Yalla
Yalla
Habibi.
Habibi. See you next time.